Hey guys, welcome back to more insane parents stories. In this video, a dad shoots OP for trying to date his daughter. Here is what happened. Let's dive right into the video. Disclaimer, just to make this clear, the story did not take place in the United States. Gun laws are a bit different over here. Me, 22 male, just out of college and applying for jobs at various accounting agencies for a job, met a great woman. She was also out of college and we just hit it off right away after meeting on one of those dating sites. We had a lot in common, and while talking, the main thing that I found to be different was the way we were raised. I was taught from a young age that work was needed in life if you wanted anything. When I was a kid, that meant chores and other household tasks, and when I got older in high school and college, it meant getting a part-time job. Sometimes it was annoying to see friends who were just given whatever they wanted, while I had to be careful what I bought because it related to real-life hours of work. It made me a better person though, and taught me a lot about the real world before most people were going to get thrown headfirst in it. My new girlfriend had only a father that seemed to want her home and felt like she was too good for work or anything. He was not even happy about her going to college, saying she did not need to work because he had enough money to support her forever. She finally, after about 2 months of dating and not taking me home, admitted that her father saw her as a possession and would get angry at any man she would bring home. I was willing to keep it a secret from her father, and that worked for about 7 months. It turned out that he started to not believe where she was going and hired a spy to follow her and see where she was actually going, and found out about me. When we were out and about, he showed up and grabbed her before shoving me away. He was furious that I existed and screamed that I had to stay away from his daughter. We were both fully grown adults, and despite him threatening me that he could easily hire a hitman, I refused to back down and leave her. I was not gonna be bullied by this man and did not run away from him like he assumed I was going to do. I just stared at him waiting until he finally opened his mouth again. Crazy dad, what the hell are you still doing here? I told you to get the hell out of here. Me, I'm waiting for my date. We have plans and I intend to keep them. Crazy dad, do you have any idea the kind of power that I have? The things that I can do to you? Me, I understand you care about your daughter. But at this point, she is a fully grown adult that can make her own choices. She wants to date and I'm not gonna run away like you think. I don't care who you think you are. Crazy dad, she is my daughter and that means I get to control who and if she dates anybody. And I'm saying right now that you are not allowed to do this. Me, you don't own her just because you are her father. She wanted to go to the movies and that's exactly what we plan to do. Follow us and I will call the police on you for stalking. I start to reach for her hand when the absolute psychopath pulls out a gun and shoots me. I don't die, but damn does it hurt, and I don't remember much of the rushing around until I am in the hospital and the bullet wound has already been taken care of. I guess being defiant to what he wanted pushed him over the edge, but damn, who shoots somebody for just dating their daughter? And well, it turns out that the person who called 911 and reported to the police what happened was my girlfriend. She was horrified by what her father did and wanted to make sure that he got taken away because of what he did. I gave a statement as well as corroborating the story. The fact that he was dumb enough to do it in broad daylight in front of a ton of people also meant that videos that the police were able to get of some of the fight. He was then being charged with attempted murder as well as aggravated assault with a firearm. And I don't know why this seems to be so common, but guess who did not have a license for his gun? Yep, so illegally having the gun was also an issue, and my guess is he was not gonna pass a background check or something with his anger issues. He was questioned and felt no remorse, claiming that his daughter was his property and I was trying to take her away from him. Making me an attempted thief, and he was just stopping me. What I didn't know until we started talking to the cops is that he was also abusive towards her and basically treated her like his slave, making her do everything for him. He was an a-hole her entire life and again felt like he had the right for all of this. He was kept in jail without bail due to being considered dangerous and likely to come after the two of us again. He spent months in jail waiting for his case to go to trial. During that time, the two of us only got closer and our bond together deepened. We loved each other and now, without him standing in the way, we could feel comfortable and not worry. I could visibly see that she was more relaxed with him behind bars. And well, the trial came up and the piles of evidence against him were shown. He had one last chance to show some sign that he felt bad for shooting me. Instead though, he doubled down, saying that the only thing he felt bad about was that his aim was not better. My girlfriend gave testimony to show how her life with him has always been broadcasting his manipulative and controlling behavior. Again, him showing not a care in the world and truly believing that he has some right to control who she dates despite her age. There was no getting through to him, and honestly, I'm just now wondering why the hell he pled not guilty if he was not actually to try and prove that he didn't do any of the things. And well, it all resulted in him being found guilty very quickly after the jury left to go and deliberate on the case. He was given 25 to life for what he did and got taken away. Years later, the two of us got married after healing together from what happened to her. We got a letter from him after all these years of no contact asking her to come and visit him. She agreed to go only if I was added to the visitor list and could come. It was approved, and 2 weeks ago we went to visit him. The person we met was basically a different soul than the one in the past. Prison did wonders for him, and he actually felt remorse now for everything he did. He apologized and told my wife that he was like that because he was scared to lose her. He was begging for forgiveness, and I was willing to follow my wife on this one. She acknowledged his apology, but told him being here was what he deserved. We left and don't think that we will be back again to visit him. He made horrible choices, and losing his daughter and missing her wedding was one of the consequences that he was going to have to face. And yeah, Ripe Stars, let me know what you think about this one. Do you think OP and the daughter were being a-holes here, or did they do the right thing? Would you forgive this father for what he did? In my opinion, that's already a stupid question, because who in their right mind would ever forgive this terrible person? No chance in hell that I would ever forgive this psycho. Anyway, if you enjoyed this story, then please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It is free and you won't miss any of my daily uploads. The next one is a malicious compliance story. I've been teaching for 6 years, at my last school for 2 years. I have a BA in history and MA in education. My principal and administrative staff pulled me out of one of my classes during an intense lecture I was giving and ambushed me in the hallway to ask/tell me that I was gonna teach IB classes next year. For those unaware, international BA courses are intense classes for high school students that last from 1 to 2 years. These classes are intense, requiring what some teachers have said to be the time equivalent of a part-time job for them to plan and prepare, without additional pay and not part of my contract. For context, within the first 2 weeks of working at this school, I noticed the other side of the pendulum. The students with learning challenges were being pushed aside in order to achieve the principal's goals of becoming an elite IB school. I began advocating for these students and offered to teach co-taught classes with a special education teacher in order to help these students achieve something. It was a great success, seeing many of the former troubled students actively being engaged in class, and through the grapevine I was told that I was one of their favorite teachers since I got them. After the first semester, I heavily petitioned the staff to allow me to teach more of these specialized classes across my department. Here's the deal though, there was no change in the curriculum, just in how I presented it to the shared class. Anyhow, the principal shot down my idea but allowed me to continue with my lone class for the next year. Back to the present though, after the ambush I went home and talked it over with my wife. She's my rock and understood that I was troubled with the additional task of basically adding an additional 15 hours of work a week to my schedule. She said, go with your heart. The next week then I scheduled a meeting with the principal. I told him I was unprepared to teach the IB course this year, but if he would give me this year to prepare the additional materials and create a curriculum, I would be good to go for the next one. I also asked if there were any other additional classes he would like for me to put together to teach next year. He said, no, teach this course next year or look for another job. I asked about additional co-taught courses for the shared students who were overlooked. He said they were not important. I reminded him yet again that I was currently working towards my PhD in history in order to teach college-level courses in high school, so students could get dual credit and a jump on college and tech schools. He laughed at me and said, I quote, none of the additional education you have taken since you started working here benefits the school at all. No one cares. This took the wind out of me. I love teaching. All of the additional work, time and effort spent away from my family has been in order to be a better teacher, a better example for my students. I told him I would need to think about this and quietly left the room. I took the next day off, spending time with my family and speaking with my therapist. I'm very lucky to have a wonderful support system. I went back to work after that, and there were a number of staff that spoke to me privately. They agreed what he said was shameful. They shared that I was not the only teacher he spoke to this way, from changing failing grades to passing to having teachers sponsor multiple extracurricular clubs without pay. I went to my union rep and added my statement to his ever-growing pile of staff statements about the principal. I assured him I was willing to go to the school board, etc. Just give me a call. Yep, I decided I was done. I wrote the principal an outstanding resignation letter full of positivity and thanking him for the wonderful opportunity to work at his school and to have learned from his outstanding example of leadership. Did I also mention that I forwarded the email to the entire staff? There was no way he could publicly respond negatively to my resignation, and he was furious. The majority of the staff knew what was going on. There were many smiles and fist bumps. I was told by the office staff later that there were 5 other teachers that resigned, making this the biggest turnover in staff in a decade. The principal now has to go before the school board next month to explain what's happening at his school. I wonder if I'm gonna get a call. And the next one is a petty revenge story. My now ex-husband was very selfish, always putting his wants before mine. He was also a hypochondriac. After we started dating, we decided to move in together, and he insisted I rehome my cat because he said he was allergic. I don't think he was allergic, but I think he believed he was, so I stupidly rehomed my cat. Fortunately, I found a very good home for her, so I'm okay with that, but it was incredibly selfish for him to ask me to do that. After we were married, he suddenly decided that he was allergic to our goose down pillows and comforter. I love them though, and I tried to argue with him, telling him that we had been using these for over a year, so how could he suddenly be allergic, and he just got very angry and told me I didn't care about him. So then I went to Bed Bath & Beyond and bought hypoallergenic pillows and a comforter. I made sure he knew I had done this, and I put the pillows on the bed and the comforter in the duvet cover. The next day when he was not around, I replaced them with the real thing I had hidden in the closet and took the cheap stuff back to the store, since I had left the tags on. We were together for several more years and he never knew. And here, Ripe Stars, I gotta say, I know quite a few hypochondriacs in my real life, and I gotta say, I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not sure if it's classified as a real illness or whatever, however, it can definitely be extremely irritating to work or live with these people. Anyway, the next one is another petty revenge story. So, from the age of 16 to 20, I worked at a 24-hour fast food joint. After having worked there for so long, I was very good at what I did, to the point I could handle the entire store by myself as long as I needed, with little to no drops in customer satisfaction or speed. When I was 19, my grandfather got sick, which was really hard because I loved him to bits. My boss and I were close, so we worked out a deal where he would schedule me a ton and I would essentially be on call for any time he needed someone to cover a shift. I would also work a straight 24-hour shift on Monday, which is the busiest day. Being alone for 8 hours of it, these piled on hours resulted in me getting around 10 to 15 hours of overtime per week, sometimes even more. This actually saved him money because one guy working for $17 an hour at a time and a half was cheaper than paying 3 guys $15 an hour to do the same work, allowing him to make way bigger profits. This allowed him more leeway and rep with corporate, meaning he would get bigger bonuses and he could give me a raise after around 6 months, citing how well I worked. The other part was that I got a week off a month to visit my grandfather and assist him with his care or anything else I needed, while the extra money allowed for me to help pay for his treatment. Our agreement went on for a year before he was promoted to regional manager, which was a big jump. He got the raise because our store was making like 15% more than the next highest performer while being in a less traveled area. The new manager who took over for him was a piece of crap though. My manager told him of our deal and he scoffed and said it was dumb because of how much overtime he would be paying me. My boss just shrugged because even if the store's performance dropped, he would just look even better. And so my hours were lowered to like 30 a week, yet he was still calling me in and scheduling me for solo 8 hours and full 24-hour shifts, so I was working crap hours but getting paid less. He also stopped the week off a month so I couldn't see my grandfather. So I quit and he soon realized how effed he was. As I heard from my boss, the store's profits dropped to 15% lower than the next lowest store in the region rather than district, and the new GM was shortly fired for somehow dropping 125% in profits. And the guy tried to blame me for quitting. Nothing fancy, I just put in my 2-week notice, but I thought it was funny. And the next one is a malicious compliance story. I, 35 male, used to work at a hardware store that rhymes with blows. probably Lowe's, but don't quote me on that. So about 10 years ago, I was a sales associate out on the floor. One day I decided to get my industrials pierced because as I knew the policy, I noticed a front end and a few managers had piercings that didn't fit in the policy, so I thought it was a bit lax. Well, after I got the piercings, I got wrote up for not following policy. So I researched the policy and purchased a blouse beanie so I could meet all dress codes while covering them up. I still got written up and I started disputing with HR about it because they were covered and I was following policy even though they were ignoring policy on the front end and allowing them to have face piercings. After a few weeks of fighting, it ended up going to HR outside of the store. District HR calls me in for a meeting with a few store managers and the local HR. HR and managers inform me that even though they are covered, blouse still has no piercings above a certain amount, location and size policy, even though they cannot see them, and I need to get rid of them because they say it's a safety hazard. In comes my compliance questions. I ask how they know I'm wearing and breaking policy if they cannot even see them. They say they have the right to ask me to take off the beanie if they think I have them in and that they noticed them in my ears when I'm walking into my shift. I repeat with a slightly different question, so does that mean you're going to make me whip my cucumber out every shift to make sure I don't have my cucumber piercing in? Are you going to make everyone take off shirts to verify no one is wearing nipple piercings? HR started backtracking really fast. By the way, I actually don't have cucumber or nipple piercings, but they didn't know that. So after questioning the policy and arguing they couldn't enforce what they couldn't see without sexually harassing people to fit their policy, HR ended up dropping all write-ups and 2 weeks later blouse changed the piercing policy to allow more piercing options and dyed hair. I like to think I helped with that policy change. And the next one is titled, I, 27 female, broke up with my lying boyfriend, 27 male. A year ago, I was about to move in with my first serious boyfriend Josh, with whom I was head over heels in love, when one of my closest friends said that Josh had shown them a nude photo of me on his phone when he was drunk during a party. 5 or 6 more of my friends corroborated the story and told me that Josh also talked in extreme detail about our intimate life when showing the photo. It was sickeningly detailed. This did not sound at all like Josh. When I asked him what the F was going on, he denied everything. He eventually got very angry and started calling all of my friends liars. At one point he showed up at my place while some of them were visiting and things got a little physical. It was really a very strange turn of events in my life. Josh seemed so worked up and all of my close friends were calling him a liar. Josh had taken photos of me on his phone, which I know was stupid, but heat of the moment and everything, so I trusted my friends and I broke up with Josh. It was heart-wrenching. Josh begged me to believe him. He started tearing up, nearly punched a wall and left angrily. I was really grossed out at the time and felt super conflicted. A few months later I started dating one of the friends, Alex, who had told me about Josh showing everyone the photo. All of my friends were pushing me to date Alex at the time. We did not really sync up and it didn't go past a few months, but we remained friends of sorts. So today, another friend sends me a message that says he just wanted to get something off his chest. The story about Josh was not true and were really trying to get me to date Alex, so they made up that story about Josh. After talking to a few of the other people, including Alex, it's all come out that they were lying to me. It was this damn orchestrated BS event that totally changed my life forever. Apparently, they hated Josh and thought he was bad for me and an a-hole. That was my decision though. I'm shaking right now. I cried in the office bathroom for about 2 hours afterwards. I loved Josh so much. We were planning a life together and I've been friends with that group since high school. What the F? I guess I'm supposed to stop talking to my friends, right? I cannot possibly come back from this and still talk to them, right? This basically nukes my group of friends. How could I ever even look at them again? Also, I need closure with Josh. Can I call him? Should I call him? Should I unblock him on Facebook and message him? What do I do? And yeah, ripe stars, let me know what you would have done in this situation. And honestly, I think for OP, it would probably be better to nuke this so-called group of friends, because they don't seem like friends whatsoever. At least not the type of friends according to the dictionary definition. They more fit the definition of enemies. Honestly, I would rather be alone than have friends like this. No offense to OP, of course. Anyway, update to the story. Even though everyone seemed to think this was a terrible idea, I sent Josh an email on Friday. I copied it here. Josh, I don't know if you're still connected to anyone on Facebook, but if you are, you probably already know why I am sending this, and I know it's totally unfair and selfish to contact you, but I cannot imagine going through the rest of my life without apologizing. So before I say a bunch of embarrassing things more than anything, I wanna say that I'm sorry I didn't trust you. I'm sorry I let other people decide our relationship. I'm sorry for what I put you through, but I figured this might be my only chance to say this, so here comes the really lame, embarrassing stuff. I spent the past day thinking about the past year, where I would be if I had believed you, what my life would be like. Would we be engaged? Would we be married? I'm not over you. I want to try again. I'm not asking you to marry me, but if you ever find yourself thirsty, I would love to buy you a beverage of your choice. I want to talk to you again. I miss everything about our relationship. I miss you getting annoyed when I stole your french fries. I miss fighting with you over money. I miss making you breakfast. I miss watching The Office with you over and over. I miss you. My information is still the same. I wouldn't blame you if you ignored and deleted this. Just know that I know. I'm really sorry. So I sent it and tried to take my mind off of it. Just writing it and sending it was extremely cathartic. So I spent my Saturday morning sitting around watching an old movies when someone rang my doorbell. Assuming it was Amazon, I ignored it and waited for the delivery driver to leave so that I could sneak out and grab the package. I was in my robe. After a minute or two, I walked over to the door and looked through the hole. It was Josh. Obviously my heart leaped into my throat. I had been compulsively checking my phone for a response, but I was not expecting something like that. Everything in my house, including me, was pretty disheveled. I cracked the door, smiled, said hi, and told him that I had to get dressed real quick. What a terrible interaction. So I ran around my place, throwing crap into corners, pulled my hair back, found something to wear, and went back to the door. I'm here for that beverage. I only had OJ and water, which was also pretty embarrassing, but Josh stuck around anyways. He did not ask many questions, really. I started to talk about the nude photo incident, but he said he didn't really care to talk about it. We both know all of the details now. The conversation eventually grew a bit aimless and we were just talking like old times. It was wonderful. He asked if I was hungry. I was not really, but of course said I was. We went to a nearby burger place that we used to go to all the time. He did ask whether or not I had dated Alex and he didn't seem too upset by my answer. I asked him if he had dated anyone and he had a 6-month relationship in the interim. She sounded great, but I didn't pry. When we got back to my place, Josh asked what I was doing for the rest of the day. I said, I don't have plans. We spent the rest of the day together, then the night. It's totally stupid to move that fast, but I'm not gonna spend much time worrying about it. I'm feeling happy. We spent part of Sunday together too, then Tuesday and Wednesday we discussed what we were doing. 2 single people dating each other was the consensus. Exclusive? Yes. I think the world of him and will always regret what happened. No matter what though, I'm extremely happy that I sent the letter to him. It is interesting to think that if he had actually done what everyone accused him of and then I took him back, I would probably have trust issues. Now obviously though, I trust him to the core. He could tell me the world was flat and I would have trouble questioning him. Just a weird thought I've been having. So anyway, that's the story. We are together again. Will it work out? I hope so. No matter what, things are better today than they were last week. And yeah guys, if you cannot get enough of my content, please don't forget to check out my podcast by searching for Ripe Stories on all major podcast platforms such as Spotify, Apple or Google Podcasts. Furthermore, you can find bonus content by going to patreon.com/ripeyoutube or by clicking the join button here on YouTube. For a small monthly fee, you will get access to dozens and dozens of exclusive videos you won't find anywhere else. Thank you so much for watching and I hope to see you again tomorrow.